quick. So, all right, well, what's going on, everybody? We are here with the ReelwUrld content team meeting for what is today? The 30th, May 30th, 2022. And we have Mike, aka Sensei Claus. We have Z, aka Guru Merkaba from JFH, of course, part of the ReelwUrld team. I'm Jan, wearing the ReelwUrld t-shirt, driving around town in a Lyft, promoting with these fancy new JFH postcards we got printed. Got 1,000 of these, and it's working out pretty wonderful, actually. Getting new cast members, getting new investors from riders and Lyft. I actually highly recommend. If I would have known about this earlier, I would have done this like in December. Like this is a phenomenal way to meet new people and essentially pitch. It's a mobile pitch meeting, so it's amazing, and I cannot recommend it more. So thank you, Lyft. Shout out. But Guru, you just came in on the conversation. My son had a spelling bee just now, and one of the sponsors. I gathered all the sponsors, and one of the sponsors was his martial arts school, Shaolin American Self-Defense Academy in North Hollywood. So,
wow,
really, really wonderful. And the two kids who got the $250, two separate $150 gift certificates. Like I really feel like their lives are going to change from doing martial arts, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. So I got some chills when I saw them grab. They're like, I want the gift certificate. I was like, it's going to change everything. You're going to be different. That was like Batman voice. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much. And thank you. Guru, I saw that your video will be ready for Thursday, so totally understandable. And Mike, I saw you sent a second video, but I only saw the first one because I was just in the post office. Did the second video potentially have sound?
No, so I was saying in the comments, I tend to put the sound in when I post it to Instagram itself. Because
I saw that you meant you said music there. Actually, I couldn't hear your actual vocals. Did you mean that too?
Yes. So right now I'm still using what I consider to be a TikTok style, which is text heavy. Because a lot of people, they watch these things on the subway or whatever with the sound off. Or, they might not. So say a lot of people also speak English but aren't native speakers. So text is just easier for them.
Okay. So just a question there, because I really like the direction that you were going with the, I like the direction you were going with the format. And so what I understood you were going for, please correct me if this is inaccurate, but what I understood was that this seems like a mixture of out of character and in character from a production guru. But here he's coming back, and I think he's back. All right.
Yeah, there we are.
So
sorry about that.
It's all good. So it seems like, Mike, what you sent over was a mixture between in character and out of character. I think that's one of the biggest things that we're going to have to, I think, as a team, be conscious of as we create together, and as we create for the larger audience. And because to a certain extent, we're training the audience, our audience, the community, on how to think with us, and in character and out of character. Even the fact that we have the toggle on the app is a major component of that. So I feel like, Mike, your Sensei Claus video borderlines between shifting from in character to out of character, where it's like you're showing the app, and this goes down to even the actual graphic design of the app, the functionality app that we have in our hands versus the functionality of the app in the storyline of JFH, which is a vigilante app essentially. So our entertainment app, you're scrolling through our entertainment app, you're showing the development, training, journey, you're showing all this stuff, and you're clicking on a challenge, and you're creating your challenge. And so it's almost like the video that you're doing is a how-to JFH video from the out of character standpoint, and then jumping into character for the actual content that you're creating in that video. So the video itself contains in-character and out-of-character content. The out-of-character content is you scrolling through the entertainment app, and the in-character content is the actual content that you made in the app of that video of you as Sensei Claus in character.
You could
Correct.
say the main point I wanted to get out to people is what I've been talking about for a while. And, you know, this has been experimental. That's part of why I didn't post this publicly. I just put it in the chat for us. What it comes to is usually when I make a video that's related to the app, I say something in the text, you know, the video's description saying this is a response to this or that challenge from the app. And the thing with that is nobody reads that. It doesn't quite communicate. Because most of the people who watch my videos aren't part of the community. They tend to find me through Reels. So they go through, they see the character, like the video.
Sorry, brother. I'm moving back for somebody real quick. Oh no, he doesn't need it. Okay, I'm up. Car doesn't need it. All right. So please say that last part again.
So basically, people who find my videos tend to do so through Reels.
Yep.
Which would be okay if the foremost goal was to promote the character. But we've got other goals here. We're trying to promote the whole concept. So what I wanted to do here was have some kind of lead-in that would establish the app as a real thing and draw people to it, because people have interest in the character, they like the video, sometimes they follow me, whatever. But as it is right now, that's it. The app doesn't really get any traction. So, you know, I've been using the blip, that kind of thing. But I'm not saying necessarily right now, but at some point, we could really use a directional change that would strongly incorporate the app, JFH, the general concepts into the promotion. Because right now I'm just kind of promoting my character, which is funny, I enjoy it. But it's not it's not really what we're trying to get done here.
Okay, so with this video, your solution to that was a video which showcases the app itself and how your character fits into that larger narrative.
I wouldn't say it goes that far. Like I've said, I've been doing things kind of TikTok style.
Yeah.
Everything is essentially some form of teaser or a small bit of information, where the idea there was to make something that put the app first, where my character, for once, isn't the focal point. He's a guy filling out the app, where you see the app first. The first half of the video, I think it runs around 25 seconds, is in the app. You see the challenges, you see the challenge get accepted, and then it goes to the guy doing it. So I'm not saying this is the solution. Again, this is experimental. This is why it's not a public video. Because once something's out, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, you know? But this is, again, not the way things have to be. But I strongly think that we do need to pivot to promoting the app in some way like this, if not this way.
I deeply appreciate that. I think that you're on the right track. The video, again, I think it really comes down to people understanding the difference between in character and out of character, which I think can be hard to understand until you just say, hey, look, you're either making a movie or you're in the movie, and you know, like, is it the character from the movie, which is the storyline, or are you making a movie and you're a filmmaker, director, producer, actor, writer, etc. So And I think that sometimes those lines can get blurred, and might be blurring them might be valuable for simplifying the message. Like, maybe the entire video, I'm not sure if you're going to add a voiceover or not, but I think a voiceover while you're scrolling is actually like going to be super important, because knowing what you're doing, hearing you talk about it, be like, hey, this is, and maybe even starting a 1 second frame of being like, hey, like I'm going to show you how, and then cut right to that screen, the scrolling screen, because data shows that people react more to a face than to anything else. And so to be able to connect with your face first, to keep them on that scroll, because otherwise it's just a graphic. It's a graphic that's scrolling, and it may be anything. So that's the voiceover is a note, starting with starting the first 2 to 3 seconds with, and I sent you guys a list of hooks that I have to look through more thoroughly myself to capture somebody in the first 1 to 3 seconds that I came across from a top TikToker. But yeah, those are my 2 notes. My 2 notes are, okay, I think it's fantastic. So that's a general response. I think voiceover is going to be super important while you're scrolling, because otherwise people are not necessarily going to actively read. And to get them to stay around to actually listen to that voiceover, you may want to start with a 1 to 3 second like intro of just being like, Sensei Claus here, about to show you how to use the JFH app. And then you want to be like, as they're scrolling, JFH is a cinematic universe where you can create story prompts, something like that, to work on your character or to interact with other characters. And I'm going to choose this one, and then here's my video in my character. Here I am, and blah blah blah. And like, I think that's a potentially really, really
real
digestible.
Drew's got a hand up, so I'm gonna be short about this, but that really just sounds like developing the idea and making it better, not really doing something different,
Yeah,
Where,
no, yes, it's definitely just building on what you already have. I think it's really great. Yeah, just and that's what I wanted to shift these, like at film school and at Pixar, they have these workshop sessions where all the directors sit down and watch each other's stuff, and then they give each other notes, and those notes help to refine the product before it goes out. And I think that we need to be shifting into that mode, potentially each week. It might be something. It may be valuable for us to do that, to kind of stagger a week. And what I mean by that is that rather than saying, hey, this week we're going to do this thing, let's put it out by next week. Maybe we're not doing that. Maybe we're going to start a stagger today and say, okay, here's the video assignment for this week. Let's share it with each other before our next session. And then at our next session, we've all reviewed it. We have notes. If there's any final notes, we make those adjustments, and then we fire in the coming days with those notes while taking on the next assignment. I don't know. I'm always interested in ways we can optimize this process. I think everyone's content continuously improves. So, but I do think that we need the workshop, the time for discussion, to help enhance the process.
I think there's value of that, especially with these meetings, because we're having them anyway. Might as well get more out of them. Sorry, I lost sound.
Oh, I hear you.
Okay. No, I saw you.
I see your hand too.
So again, Guru's got the hand up, so I'm gonna be brief. But the way I see it is, we should also figure on styles here, because Guru and David, they put a lot more effort into their videos than I do. That the style I'm working with is, I would rather have anything than nothing. And if I can make things quickly, as long as the content meets a certain threshold, I'll very happily spend 45 minutes on a 30-second video and just get on to the next one, because it doesn't have to be the meaning of life. Whereas these guys are putting an exponentially greater amount of effort into things. So I think that there's definitely a lot of value in reviewing things that are real efforts that take significant creative input. But I don't think we should spend time if I'm going to make, say, this is new content, that's one thing. But if you guys saw, say, the video where I showed a basic posture hack, that kind of thing is so simple that I think that's the kind of thing where we could review it for like 5 or 6 minutes. But you don't want to spend too much time on something that's that basic.
I appreciate that. I'd say that I always caution against being overvaluing production value. And what that means is that there's tons of stuff that has lots of time and effort spent that's trash. So, and there are things that are incredibly simple that are absolutely beautiful and poetic, and potentially hold way more. And the notes that help to improve either of those uh, may require the same effort. So the thinking and the way that we approach anything should not change based on how much is spent. Money, time, effort, etc. I think it's really more so about are we getting our point across? Is the intention being accomplished, and how can we help each other to refine what that intention is and to make sure that it's most impactful? So as long as we take that time for give the same consideration to everybody's content, I think we're going to be in a wonderful space. So, but thank you for being consistently gracious with your with the way that you approach your content and the way you approach your team members. So it's deeply appreciated and very much seen. But Guru, let's get to you, man. What's going on?
Geez, so much to touch upon. Based off of what was just said. Where do I start? First thing I want to address was what was just. Can y'all hear me? Okay, there we go.
You sure can.
One thing that I was thinking as essentially as you were saying what you just said about the kind of style of filming and whatnot. I mean, it's really interesting to hear what is seen from the outside, because I've been more recently doing a simpler version of what I would do, as opposed to what I did with when I was out in LA filming with Jan and the crew. But so I mean, like, I personally am trying to take more of an approach or a page out of your book, just because like I really enjoy the style of videos that I see with you, Sensei, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, so like, I mean, even though styles might seem a little different, the quality isn't that much different. It's just how we're approaching it. I would have to say, yeah. And then much more to the reference that you made, Jan, a bit ago about, you said you want to do film school style reviews, and you also want, and you were saying the 3 second the hook attention getters that you sent us. Okay, sorry, I'm organizing thoughts. Okay, so first off, totally agree and behind the film style review, or sorry, film school style reviewing of our videos and the content we're putting out, because I think that would help each of us grow and understand, how it, what we're doing right, how we can improve, and what we can do from there that makes sure that we're all aligned in the same direction while it still feels like it's uniquely ours. Um Now, as far as the attention getters, I was looking through those, and it's really interesting because those are very set up for TikTok and Reel style videos, where yeah, it's very much about a set of information, that you're going to share with them, want to know how I did, I can show you this, 5 easy steps to, have you ever tried to, well, you didn't try this, like those are the styles of the attention getters that show up on there. And I'm kind of curious how to see how we all, as we meet, if there's a way we can adapt these for the stuff that not just we're doing for, say we're making specific, real world content versus us making specific JFH content, like, because JFH will have a very different vibe and feel to it as we get along through it and are telling our stories. And I see that based off of the video that I made for what was it, the not the commercial, but the telling a story in 15 beats, like having that moment of using it and utilizing it there, versus if we're doing a commercial like we did, like the one that I suggested a couple weeks ago about, we're in the middle of a mission, our mission gets interrupted and we start, like, there's so I think it would be kind of cool to see how we can cater or evolve and adapt whatever the hooks are to be able to use those within our actual, like, JFH hero videos and the other things that we use along those lines. Sorry, that was really long-winded.
So just to piggyback on something you just said, it sounds like you're saying a single piece of content that can be repurposed in multiple ways, and let me know if I've got that correct, because if we do this right, if we do a piece of content correctly, for example, how the hero profile video. So one of the writers that I 3 days ago loved the idea so much, the former gang member, and I was like, dude, he's like, yeah, man, I'll join. I'm like, man, I love your idea so much, your backstory. I can shoot something for you right now, and I shot it for him, and then I cut it for him, and then put it up for his profile. Like, obviously he has his own email address, etc. And put that out because it was so important. And that one piece of content has multiple effects. Like, one, it's a hero profile video, so it's already framed narratively within the story of JFH. Two, it showcases how ReelwUrld is producing something that creates social impact. And three, I mean, then there's many other, like, use cases for that one single video. So meaning that it has a story impact and it also has a business narrative impact. So is that what you were going for, saying that with your some of the last things you said is, Guru, am I understanding that correctly?
Not necessarily. Okay. What you just said, yes, I'm behind that. That was, I agree with you, that video was super impactful. I really enjoyed watching it. I was like, wow, this is really well made. And I was like, damn, I got to rethink about some of the stuff I decided to do, which I think is fabulous, because that's what, the community really should be about, helping challenge each other to be better versions of ourselves, and creators. Anyway, but what I was getting at was saying that the hooks that you sent to us.
I'll come back.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, you're saying something about the stuff, the TikTok notes I sent you? Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the TikTok notes you sent me, I said those are very structured to one style of video.
Yes, they are.
Which is very much just informational. And I was saying it'd be cool to adapt some of those hooks and things like that and figure out how we can evolve them into fitting in with our universe, even like outside of just informational videos, but of saying, like, figuring out how we can help each other with hooks in our own, of showing how we can get that what how we can help each other like elevate our opening images, our initial hooks for each of the videos that we make or whatever.
I totally agree, and that was my intent in sending it over to you guys, for us to be able to workshop how we would adapt this to us. One answer that came to me yesterday while driving was, and I'll read it to you right now, are JFH "What would you do" videos. So, for example, and I can cut at least 2 of these right now with footage that we already have, which is, what would you do if your purse got stolen? I would take episode 1, showcase the client getting her purse stolen, freeze frame, and then put on screen. And I have a voiceover. So it says, what would you do if your purse got stolen? And maybe it's one of those AI voiceovers that generates automatically from TikTok or etc. So what would you do if your purse got stolen? A, stand and scream. B, run after the culprit. C, call the cops. D, use JFH. And keep using that format where there's 3 options, and then D is always use JFH, or maybe we have 2 options, 3 options.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe the third option should be JFH, and you have the first 2.
And so I think it's really depends on like what is the most relevant for like the particular situation. Like here's another example, because the reasoning, and now we're starting to talk about really the kind of the film school stuff I wanted to get into, is that every time we say something or do something, we're either making ourselves more endeared to the audience, or we're pushing them away. And if we're only keeping them at status quo, we're pushing them away. So there's really no in between. They're either coming closer to us or they're getting farther away from us. So the intention behind saying the 4 things rather than 3, and I understand the rule of 3, is the reason to break that pattern is because what would you do if your purse got stolen? A, stand and scream. That stand and scream, the audience is connected to a visceral reaction in the body. B, run after them, another visceral reaction in the body. So now we're talking psychology. 3, call the cops. Now we're still engaging a fight or flight response.
We're addressing usually or frequently used lifelines at that point.
Exactly. So it's very easily relatable, and then we toss in use JFH, and so we break that pattern. And if this wasn't a JFH video, those first 3 by themselves are still very those 3 still connect you to the moment. So now we're adding that extra value, and this is not necessarily the pattern to use. But what I'm saying is that it's intentional pattern. So if we have every intention that anything we say in the video is programmed to either bring the audience closer to us, or what's going on, David, creator, or to well, actually, that's pretty much it. Like we want to elicit some form of response from the audience with every single thing that we do and say. So therefore, each one of our choices is very important, and therefore, even the simple things, to the point of the conversation with Sensei, even the simple things become huge. So regardless of the level of production value, each one of these choices is a big choice. So how I have other concepts. What would you do if you stepped in dog poop? Clean it off and complain to your building manager. B, like something else. D, and then go down to D where it says use JFH, and then we'll have a little voiceover that says a hero will ask neighbors if they saw the a-hole and find them and make them eat that poop. Something like that. Like a funny. I think these kind of promos. Again, this is just kind of built off of the concept of those hooks from JT Barnett, I think that's his name. And of course, the first one is, what would you do if your buddy got punched or your boy got punched? And I would take JFH episode 4 from season 0 and take that shot where Max Chen's character, Sudden KO, gets punched in the face, and then it cuts to my character going, and then put the A, B, and C on there, and then D, use JFH. It could potentially be a model is there too. So I think that format could be really valuable for us in terms of connecting the dots between, at the very least, stylistically, tonally, like from a tone standpoint, what we're going for with JFH, because when you see the drug addiction, like former gang member joins JFH video, it's got a somber, even though there's a upbeat song behind it, there's still a somber energy. There's still a seriousness there. So how do we take that seriousness and the reality of actually helping people in the real world and bring a flair to it that's like, oh wow, but this is cool. So like all that, yeah, that's cool that somebody went through challenges and they came out on top, but that's still the equivalent of a PSA, a public service announcement, that PSAs are only as cool as they can get. You know, like it's still education, and no matter, even if nerds run the world right now and it's cooler to be educated, there's still a clear difference between being sexy and education. And to be able to say, hold on, like here is JFH, all the stuff that we're doing is like has a character training component, character growth component to it, but it's still super sexy. It's still super fun. It's still, and like if we lead with that sexy fun and then bring them into the educational component, I think that's what's really going to make our ecosystem thrive.
Agreed.
Riffing on that, it's also important to look at things extrinsically and intrinsically. So if you take, because we've all seen some Marvel movies, you know, the ultimate modern example of, you know, sexy nerd would be Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark character, you know, the point where the world's actual richest man, Elon Musk, deliberately styles himself after him, you know. Like
I'm under the impression that Robert Downey Jr. said they modeled him after Elon himself. They modeled Tony after Elon, but it's cool because there's obviously, so yes, I completely agree with you. But Robert definitely said that they were studying him and they met several times to kind of like get some of that body language, which I think is really interesting. So art imitating life, imitating art is definitely happening there in a circle.
I could see that being how it began, but you have to look at these timelines where before.
I agree with you.
Sorry?
I totally agree with you, even down to the hair plugs.
Oh yeah, and you know, this could be a crazy tangent, and I don't know what kind of time frame you guys are on, but you know, that movie came out in 2008, so back then Elon Musk was not the richest man. He was, you know, a heavy-duty billionaire even then, but he was worth a fraction what he's worth now. You know, he's made, depending on how you count it, like $100 billion over the last 15 years. You know, back then he was like in the top 100 richest. Now he's on any given day top 3 easy, often top 1. So, and at the same time, the Marvel movies back then were still experimental. Nobody knew for sure they would define our culture for a decade, you know? It was still kind of up in the air. It was largely the success of that movie, the original Iron Man, that took us into this Marvel era. You know, you could compare and contrast to Justice League, where those movies, they're big, they make a lot of money, a lot of people like them, but you just can't say they have the same cultural impact as the Marvel movies do. Regardless of what you prefer, you know, if nothing else, it's a numbers game. There are just so many more Marvel movies. The DC cinematic universe is, top of my head, like 7 or 8 movies now. Marvel's in the dozens. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, not necessarily get too into that, but the original angle was, if we're talking about making things sexy, education, and all that, there are certain things that have an intrinsic appeal and other things that have an extrinsic appeal. Easiest example for extrinsic appeal is a commercial, you know, where you see something you might not have wanted 5 minutes ago, but the commercial is designed to elicit an emotional response in you. You know, you sit down and, you know, maybe you see a happy family eating something, and you associate whatever plates or appliance they're trying to sell you with this happy family that you wish your family could be like, or whatever. There are a billion examples. You know, they show you a beer and a bunch of guys having fun, and you think, well, wow, I wish me and my friends had fun like that, or be that cool, or whatever it is. I honestly don't. I only really watch commercials at the laundromat. I'm a bit of a, I'm a cord cutting millennial, so my grasp of current commercials is a bit weak, I admit. What Again, there's some things that are just cool because they're cool. Like if you look at say a parkour video, where a guy is doing some ridiculous, insane, dangerous stunt with a level of skill that very few people would even consider achieving. You see that and you don't think, oh, well, it's the shoes that are cool. No, it's just a cool thing. So this was a sidebar that really derailed the conversation, but what I was getting at is, especially from a promotional standpoint, you really want to dissect things and look at what is intrinsically cool and what is extrinsically cool. So, and what is, actually not cool, but seems cool because it's shipped with something intrinsically cool, and try and figure out where it's advantageous to overlap the two.
I think that's I think that's part of you said it yourself. Commercials are designed to elicit a response, and to a certain extent, movies have become commercials for other movies and product placement. So they're all designed to elicit a response, even if it wasn't so heavily emphasizing consumerism. The art has an intention, oftentimes, to share with the audience a particular feeling, and so I think that as long as we as a team are putting more emphasis on feeling and doing it in a structured and measurable way, I think we're going to continue to improve and continue to draw. We're already continuing to improve, but improve on what? So like there's like we can always consistently define and redefine like our very clear goals and continue to clarify our goals. So I think that it sounds to me that the theme of everything we're saying, for that each one of us is saying, is essentially more focus on feeling, more focus on what lines are said, what shots are used, and how at what time they appear in any particular video format that would allow us to share more of the I think that's a really important thing for us to keep in mind, like doing, whether it's in character or out of character, being able to showcase what JFH does is going to sell ReelwUrld. So I think that that it's really just a matter of what our intent is per character, per and if anyone has any particular like video assignment idea for next week that they want to run with, I'm totally down with this and with these ideas in mind. Of course, I want to make sure that we have the DRI that we talked about previously, the directly responsible individual, and for the current video, it's still been Sensei Mike, checking in. So if anybody needs any help, Mike, that I'm sure they can still reach out to you to finish up the last video assignment that we were talking about. But I think that the next one that I'm interested the most in, even though I wouldn't be able to right now in my current schedule chop anything up yet, and that's why I hesitate on saying let's do this next, because I would like to be able to give a clear example, is the what would you do JFH videos. I think that's a really interesting format. But I'm also down to potentially give that a little bit more time. so that we can not stack so many assignments and no one feels behind. So I'm interested in any ideas here. Do you guys want to finish the video from last, I think it was 2 weeks ago. So you want to finish that video first before jumping onto another one, or do you want to just define another one now, and or maybe take this week as like, just shoot a challenge, and while working on the previous week. What do you guys want to do?
I vote we do the one that is still pending for us first,
Okay.
and then we'll regroup. That way it gives us time to still focus on the one that needs to be done. And when we get together, we have like a fresh idea in mind about like how to when we meet to talk about like the review and stuff as we watch through it together. And that way we can also start fresh with all right, this week we're gonna do this, and yeah, that way like I said, doesn't feel muddied.
Okay. Oh, I'm down with that. Does it sound good to you guys?
Yeah, so I was saying to Jan before you guys popped in, the way I make these things makes it a lot easier for me to create content than it is for you guys, because I'm spending so much less time and effort on these, like 20-second recordings with text overlays. So I'll probably do something just to do something, but I won't necessarily post it. I'll just stick it in the chat or something. So next meeting, we have something to pick apart.
Okay, so it sounds good. I want to say that, like, doing a challenge, but first of all, please guys, remember to post the videos on the app too, whether it's a challenge or a mission, so that we're constantly populating that, in addition to posting it on social. But Sensei, if you're going to do a video for this week that's like a challenge or a mission, like, you don't need to share it in the app first, because I think that's different. You taking on a challenge or a mission, unless you want the feedback, should just be you taking on a challenge or a mission. And however you want to tie that into the story, that's totally up to you. But if we're doing something that's like very team focused effort, I think that's when, or either team focused effort, or you want the feedback in general. I think that's the time to post it in the chat so we can go over it.
Might not be the best way to word it, but yeah, if we're gonna have these meetings anyway, I would like to get some feedback out of it, because we really built on this concept a fair bit in this meeting. So I'm not going to be doing anything that's that forward or ambitious every meeting, because that would be nuts. There's only so far you can go before you just completely lose track.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
But even if I am just doing a challenge or something, I would like to know what you guys. I don't have a background in this. I'm figuring out as I go.
Well, I think that another valuable thing to think about here is that we as a content team, like, should be, once again, setting the example for the community. I think I accidentally took my video to be top notch, or lack thereof. If it's a one shot, the one shot should be incredibly intentional. Like, hey, I have this one shot. It's only me. I have one shot, and I'm setting a frame because I want 80% of my frame empty, because I want to have that sense. I want to give that particular sense of my surroundings because of it. And so, like intentional camera placement. And we should talk about all of that. So Sensei, I'm totally down. I think you're on the right track. Like if let's make sure the stuff that's coming from our team is designed with not necessarily just a team style. I think the team style should be excellence, but like that everybody on the team has the best version of their style being presented for whatever content. And so again, that should supercharge everybody's efforts. And I think that the only way to do that is through conversation and then experimenting after that. So sounds good to me. Is there anything that you guys, I want to make sure that we do this every meeting. And if I forget to ask it, This is a really interesting performance culture question that I really like that I heard about this week, which is how can we optimize this process? Like what we're doing here, is there a way that you guys, any ideas that you guys have besides what we already talked about today, which I think is
Is he glitching out for you too?
Yep.
Okay.
To optimize what we're doing here. And again, I think both of you guys, we might have already covered. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah, it was pretty
Okay.
good for a while.
Okay, good. I was just saying, like, is there any other ways that you guys think we can optimize this process, or do you think we covered everything today?
I
mean,
think you got it.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say as a joke answer. Yes, hire a team to travel around and film with each of us as we try to create content. Sorry. Go ahead.
Soon enough, for sure.
So, the angle I'd like to take is, since we're an Instagram anyway, in this group chat, I'd say that if we're going to be reviewing each other's content, be good to do like a quick pre-screen just on Instagram. That way, if you can't make the meeting or something, you can just give like 2 or 3 bullet points to the other guys. That way, you've said your piece. You know, that way, because I know everyone's got a life, if there's a hiccup or something, at least we're able to give each other a bit, you know? It's kind of like how I make short videos. Anything's better than nothing. I think feedback could kind of have the same thing, where if you're interested in, you know, sharing your perspective on somebody's content, even a little is better than nothing, because we've all got very different approaches to this and very different backgrounds here. So, you know, it's interesting. It's like, I don't know if you guys have been in the chat and seen these site logos David made. I didn't even know if you could do that. It makes sense that he can in retrospect, but did you guys know you could do that?
I had no idea that dope logos like that were going to be where I really honestly for what David, what you put together was stuff that we were looking for a while, and I was like, man, I don't know who's gonna. We need to do this. Like, someone's got to do this. I don't know who. We got to find a designer, and then you just sent it. And I was just like, oh man, this is like we've been. You don't understand how long we've been talking about exactly that. So like repping your city, is a big deal. So thank you for sending that, Dave. Again, and we will announce that to the community. It's just a matter. Just give us a little time, because I'm still working on this Doppel partnership, which I have a meeting with today, and but we definitely should do a rep your city thing, especially by our event with Warner Media's Urban Action Showcase in New York in the fall. Like, we should definitely do a rep your city thing there. So okay, so this sounds great. So I think it's a really important note, Sensei, that you said. If you can't make a meeting, put some notes in bullet points before the meeting, so we can talk about it. Like, I think that's just a great team courtesy. Like, but here are 3 bullets, or here's at least 1 bullet point on a thoughtful note on the piece of content that you created for each one of the team members. You know, I think that'll be super helpful. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, awesome, guys. So this is phenomenal. Does everyone feel good about this meeting?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, David. Know you're working. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much. So to recap, no video assignment this week. If you can do a mission or challenge, of course. Like each week, that's a huge deal. And of course, post that in the app, but also on social if you can. If you create it, please post it in most places. And we'll do a thunderclap for this week. And let me know if you can't do the thunderclap. I'm not sure if everyone hit the thunderclap last week for our meetup. But please let me know if you can't make it for, you can't do it for any particular reason, especially if it's a timed event. And what else? The meeting last Friday was fantastic though. It was short, sweet, and I think effective. And thank you guys. Anybody who's watching this, wefunder.com/ReelwUrld. As you can see, these wonderful newly printed ReelwUrld postcards with the JFH cinematic universe on the back. We got a bunch of different heroes there. We got Creator. Look at Creator right there next to Elixir. So that's justiceforhire.com if you want to be on the website, but it's really justiceforhire.app if you want to join the cinematic universe. And we are on it. So I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions, and of course, let Sensei know, Mike know, if you guys need any assistance, guidance for the assignment from 2 weeks ago that we're following through with. And Mike, you're good on the notes too, right? For me, for everybody. Did anyone else have notes for Mike? I just realized I'm the only one who gave notes, direct notes. Guru, you have any notes for Mike, or David?
Oh, for the video he just sent.
Yeah.
Notes being hold on, I'm thinking, I'm running through the video again in my head. No, I mean, the only thing being the sound, but you explained it perfectly. I think, yeah, much of what Jan said, maybe add a hook to it, so that if you're giving a rundown, just because, yeah, no, it was a blend, just because it is a blend between out of character and in character, since you are showing the entertainment app and then dressing up as Sensei. It'd be probably good to do the, like, one of those hooks in the beginning on the list there, and that or something along those lines, just to kind of like, yeah, some talking to hook the scroller so that they don't scroll on by, or just be like, wait, I got something to show you. Like, even that right there could change the game for an intention getter for your video. But yeah, no, other than that, it looks good.
I love that. Whoa, wait. Like, as if someone was scrolling. Whoa,
right?
wait.
Wait. I got something to show you.
Check this out. That's awesome. I love that. That's hilarious. David, do you have any? If you have the ability to talk, do you have any notes for Mike, aka Sensei, from his video? Sure. Let's see, is there anything in the chat that I might have missed? There is. Hey, tuning in. Okay. So I don't think Creator can talk right now. But okay, awesome. So Mike, are you good on notes?
Yeah, I'll probably just remake the whole thing, but again, that's part of why I like the style I use, is that it's more efficient to redo it than to adjust everything.
So dude, just to be 2 points here. Like, I don't think you need to redo that video. Like, I think the video is all it needs is framing. I don't think you need to redo anything. I mean, it seemed like some of the text, you might be spending too much time on the text, because remember, Instagram, and it's great for our app for JFH, but Instagram and TikTok both create captions for you. So the only thing you really need in terms of titling potentially would be like bookmarkers for like the title of a scene, where you might be like step 1 and like have that step 1 on screen the entire time. That may be something you want to do. But again, most of that stuff you can do in a social app like Instagram or TikTok. And then in a worst case scenario, not to say this is like it's not ideal to have the TikTok logo bouncing around our videos at all. But at the very least with Instagram, you can copy a link and then download that video and then repost that video into JFH if you wanted to.
You could do that you could do that off of TikTok as well. I will send y'all the site you can go to on the cast chat, or excuse me, the ReelwUrld content team chat.
Thank you. Oh, where you could rip off that little bouncy thing, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I've used one of those once before, and I probably should have used it for. When you send that, I'll use it again, and I'll re-upload my homeless feeding the homeless video from 2 weeks ago. But yeah, Mike, I don't think you need to redo anything. I think that that both my notes and Z's notes are both like, hey, like just add a little snippet in the beginning to that video that captures the audience, and then add a voiceover over the video you have that keeps the person listening and engaged. I think that's really all you need, because you're showing something that's of massive value, but they won't know that it's of massive value unless you tell them.
So for that specifically, what I think I'm going to do is have two separate styles: a voiceover style, then the TikTok inspired text style, for a very specific reason. Is that, I started doing things that way after watching TikToks, and the trick there is, TikTok is basically just, the new version of Vine, really. So the thing is, everything is so fast paced there for the most part that I think part of the reason why it's so text heavy is that people can read faster than they can hear. And if you were to speak as quickly, and actually, to be honest, the first version of the video I sent you guys, the text was aggressively fast in that. I think that was a formatting thing, because I'm not quite sure why it came out that way, but I made another version where I, slowed the text down a bit, cut some bits out to make it more readable. But even then, when you take the text like I did, it's still way faster than you can speak to people. Where if you were to try and do a voiceover as quick as that text, people would not understand it. So I think that the idea here is to have a voiceover style that's Instagram friendly, then to have the whole like ADHD, almost children's cartoon speed TikTok style that's text heavy, just to reach different audiences different times.
So wait.
Oh,
please go.
Sorry. I was gonna jump on that. Actually, if you did a blend of both, if you like put a lot of text down and you said a shortened, sweet version of what is in the text, that also drives up your engagement, because it allows for people to have to go back or seek through your video or pause it in order to read the information there, because you're giving them the information and you're giving them more information, but that's on them if they want to do that. So they'll pause the video, go back and read all the stuff that you put in there. Just food for thought.
It's a creative idea too. The only trouble there is if I have a voiceover and I have a text overlay, that might be just too much text for people to follow.
Well, that's why I said it would be a short and sweet version of what is in the text. That way you start with the same words that are in the text, and then you can give a smaller version. It wouldn't be as distracting. I know, because as I scroll through TikTok, there are a lot of informational videos that do some things like that, because there's a lot more to be said and they only have so much time to work with as far as like people's attention spans. So they'll say what is in the beginning of the text, and maybe like the key points as they go through, like obviously the summary of it, and then and then you can pause and like read the rest of the stuff that was said in between, because a lot of the information there is too full, and it would take a lot longer for your eyes to read it. It would take a lot, you would have to say it a lot faster to get it, down in the time frame that you're looking for.
It's a clever approach. I can see people do that because it's kind of like cheating the system almost. You have this supposition that when you go on TikTok, you will be getting info snacks, just short, quick, whatever. But if you can fit information there in a way that people are actually going to, take it, then absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I just want to make sure that as a person that's made the mistake of overthinking, like so you really do have something. Your content is strong, and just because you can shoot it quickly doesn't necessarily mean that it's of any less value of something that might be perceivably more complex. So I think you've shot something, you have something strong. I think you need to just make a few adjustments on it, tweaked, meaning of a quick intro and some voiceover. I think you're good to go. And I appreciate your thinking in terms of style, but just remember Bruce Lee, be like water. Like you don't want to limit yourself to any particular stylistic thinking, because it's great to be able to set intention, but that intention may lead you to things that are unintended, and let the magic happen. That's all I would say.
I agree, but you could also think of this in a fun way, like what's the most optimal way to approach this audience versus that one,
Yeah. Well, thank you. Let me know if I can be helpful to any of you guys. And thank you guys so much as usual. Have a wonderful, let's figure out. I don't for this week for the Thunderclap. Let's pick somebody else from the community. And I think last week we were talking about Ragdoll. And I actually have a call with Ragdoll on Thursday because she suggested doing the pro wrestling, like creating JFH content around pro wrestling themes. So she might join our team from that perspective.
I've been actually mulling around something that we should probably talk about at a later date, but it's us sitting together, and you know how you call us the content team. Well, what if we actually sat around like an actual like a studio execs and talk about the style of shows we want to create and like each hero that falls into that and how we can help foster that for certain heroes. Like the whole pro wrestling thing for Ragdoll, I think is a phenomenal idea, and that sparked a whole bunch of ideas of like we could have like investigative mystery stories with certain heroes. We can do like the pro wrestling with certain heroes. We can do the at home lifestyle heroes that help you out with that. Like there's so many different things we can go along with that. But yeah, that was just like
yes, that's absolutely brilliant. And that I think you just articulated something that has needed to be said for a very long time, which is that there are different types of heroes on JFH, and if the more we can make that known, the more people are going to understand like what heroes culture really means. And if we can really drill down on that, I think that these what would you do type videos can also be helpful in that as well. Like, what would you do if you're, like all of those heroes are the kind of heroes you would call for different types of scenarios. And then we could say, what would you do in any one of those particular types of scenarios, showcase a particular hero that does that. And now JFH is known for heroes in any of those areas.
True.
So to be able to have muscle, to be able to have brains, to be able to have, potentially cooking ability, all that stuff.
Yeah, like having heroes that like a cooking, like if you've ever seen Food Wars, if you had like a Food Wars style show with all of these characters in it, like with all these heroes in it that are like their heroes, abilities and stuff might be based around food, where you get to see the life and what it's like in there. Yeah, I think that's we've got something here.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. And just to let you guys know from last week, so that I to be clear, I've reached out to my buddy at at the ad agency to see if we can get a sponsor to come on through his agency client wise. I don't think that that's something that they really do, meaning that like I don't think that they would reach out to a client on behalf of us saying, hey, like we have a team that wants to put something together for you guys. I think it's a very easy thing to do. That asking people to do something outside of what they commonly do can sometimes be a challenge. So I'll reach out to the flashlight company this week, Sensei, to see if they'll send us some flashlights. And I think you previously shared in the chat what the company name was, right?
Yeah, it's just called Police Security.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
that one. They're just, decent quality. A lot of the ones I have are a Chinese brand that uses lighter aluminum, which is a hit or miss.
And really any brand that we can create a JFH centric video around, I think is going to be valuable. So let me see if we can get I'm sure we can get somebody. I think it's a very easy ask.
I think it'll be also good for us to think about brands that aren't just singular in items, brands that have versatile items, just because every hero is going to be coming from a different place. Some of us are going to be very martial arts based, some of us are going to be very spiritually based, some of us are going to be very like super hardcore, like into fighting. Some of us are going to be kind of pacifists, like there's all these different routes that these heroes are going to take. So I think it'd be good to also, as we progress, obviously we want this one thing, one focus, one direction for everyone at first, so that we can get it down. But as we move forward, we'll want to start thinking about those brands that are multifaceted, that allows us to expand and be able to promote the brand, maybe not necessarily just the item.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. Well, let's figure out who we can get, and if any other ideas pop up, I should probably reach out to 5 brands. So right now we have 2. I'll reach out to Feiyu. I'll reach out to this flashlight company, Renner Gracie. He has a phenomenal. I shared one of his stories today, one of his videos. He has a phenomenal jujitsu channel that really helps. Really just calls out how to use jujitsu in any particular scenario for safety and for maintaining peace and order and all this stuff. So really amazing channel. So I'll reach out to him because he's got a new like bag jacket kind of thing that he's promoting. And yeah, anybody else, if there's any product that you guys can think of, I'll even reach out to John Machado as well, Jiu-Jitsu, to see if he's got anything that he's personally a part of that we can promote. And so we'll just make a mission around that.
Does everyone have Nikes?
I don't have
some form of a Nike, like Nike pants, Nike, like all those sorts of things.
Autumn has Nikes.
I was thinking maybe we can. I mean, if we're gonna try to shoot for a big brand, just thought.
I think that's potentially really dope. We could I mean, look, if everyone's got Nikes, we can totally make a. I mean, does Sensei, do you have Nikes?
Doesn't necessarily need to be shoes. It could be sweatpants. It could be, sweatbands. It could just be a towel that has a Nike logo on it.
I mean, I could get something if we were going to go that way, but I shop at DJs. I got a lot of weird brands I've never heard of before.
Okay, such a Brooklyn thing. It's a really Brooklyn thing to say, Sensei. I appreciate that.
If you
Somebody
live
who
on train lines, solid value.
That's such a great Brooklyn thing to say. Okay, so we will figure it out. If anyone comes up with another idea, well, let's please share in the chat, and I'll reach out to any brand that you guys come up with. Okay, Creator's got Nike. So if Creator has Nike, and Sensei may have to just I may have to send you some cash to get something for Nike. So let me Let me see this. Let me see if I can get Nike to sponsor something for us though first. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Just do it. That's funny. And remember, everybody, wefunder.com/ReelwUrld to invest in the company, and justiceforhire.app to join the cast. So love you guys. I'm gonna go teach a Tai Chi class, and creator says geared up to help. So love you guys. Thank you so much for this. Is a really, I think, really valuable meeting for all of our minds. Meeting of the minds for all of our minds. So love you guys so much, and I deeply appreciate you. And let's do ragdoll this week. So if I'll just put her handle in the chat, and please find a video from her that you guys want to post on her page. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys, for the thunderclap for Thursday. All right. Love you guys.